What is up, you beautiful happy hustlers out there? Kerry Jack here. And I hope that you are having an amazing day. I mean it, just staying grateful, staying positive, and enjoying this very moment right here and right now, baby. And in this special episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast, we have on my brother, my business partner, my best friend, Mr. Grant Kendzior, who is the founder of Ecopreneur Evolution, which is fighting plastic pollution epidemic and working to combat climate change, among so many other things. He's a talented individual that really has worked more events than any person I know. And he is the perfect subject matter expert to talk about how to successfully host a live event in the 4 essential steps to making it an success. So we're going to dive deep down the event rabbit hole, and we are going to just basically share with you years of wisdom from working at Sundance Film Festival, Coachella, Lollapalooza, Cadillac and Illy tours, the Fire Festival, working in the Hamptons, working down in Miami, working in Brazil, working in Barcelona. We've worked events all over the world, and it's really basically a culmination of all of our experiences in conjunction with our upcoming event, the Happy Hustle Mastermind, which actually it's called the Epic Camping Adventure Montana Mastermind. But this event has already been a success, and we want to break down those 4 steps. So buckle up, because we're about to basically teach you everything we know about events and some. So let's dive into this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast. Real quick, guys, I just want to thank this episode's sponsor, Bioptimizer, who is bringing to market one of the best products regarding magnesium. And if you didn't know, 80% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. And it's not just one of those things where you take more and you're going to become suddenly healthy and optimized. You need the right kinds of magnesium. Now, Magnesium Breakthrough actually has all 7 forms of magnesium that you need in the proper ratio. That's why I take it. That's why I love it. It's a staple. Right before I go to bed, I take 2 pills and I go right to sleep. And then I wake up restful with deep REM sleep under my belt, ready to seize the day. You guys get the hookup from listening to the Happy Hustle Podcast by going to magnesiumbreakthrough.com and then use code HAPPY. You can save up to 33% if you get multiple bottles. And the best part is you actually get 365 days to decide if you like it or not, because they have a money back guarantee for the next year. So you really have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So check it out. Thanks again, Bioptimizers, and I highly recommend Magnesium Breakthrough. Now let's get back into this episode. All right, we're back with this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast with my brother from the same mother, Mr. Grant Kendzior. Grant, how you doing today?
Doing wonderful. Beautiful day here in Montana.
That's right. It is indeed. Grant, why don't you just give a little backstory on some of your event experience to the happy hustlers out there, because it is a ton and it's quite vast, but just give us some of the highlights.
Well, I don't know. Carrie was really the one that brought me into events around 12 years old when we started hosting. We were always the house that hosted everyone on the weekend after the soccer games, and that turned into house parties in high school. And we just turned that into a regular thing. 2-3 days a week, we were the party place to be, alcohol or not. Everyone came to our house to have fun. We knew how to put together a great experience. That kind of the genesis went into college, where I, used these skills to throw some of the biggest parties at University of Florida, hosting mega concerts with names from Wiz Khalifa to Kid Cudi. We were hosting, Diplo and Tiesto and Avicii. And then we started in Premier, took that to Chicago and running high-end nightlife for the Cubs, the Bulls, a lot of experience with the Blackhawks guys.
Chicago Fire, Chicago PD.
Yeah, we were having, just high-end nightlife experiences there. And it was always just a side hustle, really, to help, pay for college, pay for the bills, while I could keep pursuing my endeavors. And, it took me all around the world, and so we started doing the World Cup in Brazil. We were doing events in Miami and LA, doing from the Grammys to Coachella, doing tours with international brands like Cadillac, where I did 32 cities in 2 years, where it was like every week almost you're in a new place setting up for week-long events. We've done events in Canada for Wanderlust. I've done events, pretty much,
Coachella,
yeah, some Coachella,
Lollapalooza, I mean, Fire Festival.
Sundance Film Festival is always one of my favorite. I've done New York Film Festival, and then countless private, intimate gatherings, in luxury homes and intimate, from weddings to bachelor parties and bachelorette parties. We've hosted them all to, now we host these, really intimate men's gathering events where we really help people step into their power in different ways. We hosted an epic one last year in Florida, and then we got the epic Montana mastermind for Happy Hustle this summer here.
Man, I mean, just even hearing you talk about all that experience brings back so much memories. And, I really didn't even think about how many events we've actually hosted and been a part of until you just listed them all out. And
that's barely any.
I know,
to be honest.
I know it really, I mean, we could go so much deeper. Like I can think of like almost 5 right now off the top of my head that you missed that are massive ones. But the point is, guys, events can be a highly profitable part of your business, of your happy hustle, but you have to do them right. And we want to dive into the 4 essential steps to making your event a success. Now, Grant, why don't you go through those 4 essential steps and then we'll dive into each.
Well, the 4 essential steps are really just a plan. And I mean, I over plan. I'm a little neurotic about it, but I love to really get deep into planning and then preparing, getting all the little details together, getting every little thing from the goodie bags to the staff on site, everyone trained right. And then the execution, execution is key, being able to really lead and facilitate that event and make it that experience. And then, pitching it, and being able to, get more people in for the next ones and keep it, moving and keeping growing these events.
Yeah, I love that. So plan, prepare, execute, pitch. We're going to dive down the rabbit hole on each. And I highly recommend, if you're seriously considering putting an event out to the world or hosting a event in the near future, get your notepad, take some notes on this stuff, because we're going to go really in depth. And Grant is truly an absolute expert on this subject. And he's seen it at the top level, as have I, but Grant even more than myself, at how to really execute a high level event. So the first step, planning. Grant, where do you start when you're planning an event?
Oh, well, it depends if it's an internal event, if it's something we're hosting, or if it's with working with clients, to really cultivate the experience that they're looking for, and really kind of going through everything from the food to, the feeling that you want people to walk away with. What kind of pictures do you want them to be posting? You're thinking about everything, so it's the little things from the contingency plans and, the worst case scenarios of what's going to happen on injuries and this and that, and making sure, you have all the right staff on board for that. Planning, just really cultivating and envisioning it ahead of time. Like anything in life and your business, you happy hustlers out there, you have to envision it first. And so, that's really the first thing in the plan, is to draw that storyboard of exactly how you want that event to go. What would the dream circumstance be? What would the desired outcome that would leave everybody blown away and, leave you profitable and, rich in networking and connections as well. So, it's like you're thinking you get value in multiple different ways out of an event. So, it's really just to get deep into that vision of that experience that you want them to leave with, and always thinking memorable. How do you stand out from the crowd? How do you make this a once in a lifetime experience? If it's a house party, or if it's Coachella, how are you going to blow their socks off and make it better than the last event they went to?
Yeah, it's a great point. You have to start with the end in mind. In my opinion, with an event, you want to think about the things Grant just talked about. What is the actual vision for the event? What do you want people to walk away with the event feeling? What do you want them to actually remember? How can you be memorable? How can you be different? And then you have to start to think about what pieces to the puzzle do you need to bring in order to forecast that vision and manifest it into reality. Now, I do want to use the Montana Mastermind as a ongoing example for this particular breakdown. So for example, planning, Grant, what did it look like for this Montana Mastermind?
Well, on this one, there's a lot of logistics trying to take, 15 men out into the backcountry wilderness where it's really wild and, you don't have accessible, things to put together for safety, for food, all of it. It's a logistical nightmare in a lot of ways, but also, it's a once in a lifetime experience. So we really left like, we want these guys to leave feeling like they could never do this anywhere else, that this is somewhere that they can't manufacture this experience on their own. They couldn't put together this group of people too. So it's like, we were really selective on who we want to be there, the kind of energies, the diversity of people from different backgrounds. So we get a bunch of different energies around to complement each other, to the swag that people are going to be rocking, to, the pictures and the video content that's going to leave them with those, memories that'll last a lifetime, not just in their mind, but to show off to their friends and family, clients, whoever else. So we really went through every kind of outcome that we want these guys to go home with. And, that's where we really started. And for this one, it was like, we want them to feel equipped with new skills too. And so how do we bring in experts and how do we bring in content, that's going to engage them? That's something that they can't read in a book. It's something you got to do. It's something you got to be in person for, and that's the beauty of events. And especially now with COVID times, it was like, how do we cultivate a safe experience, that people can get together, feel comfortable? A lot of people have been alone in their shells for the last year. So opening people back up gradually, and cultivating that throughout the whole week in the experience.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of logistics that go into this. For those people who don't fully understand what the Montana Mastermind is, allow me to just break it down. So essentially, we are hiking 12 miles into the backcountry wilderness. We're camping out for 4 nights, 5 days, all high level 6, 7, and 8 figure entrepreneurs. We are mixing business with pleasure. We have a primitive survival expert and U.S. Marine to teach us how to thrive and survive in the wilderness. We have an expert fly fisherman to teach us the art of fly fishing, a professional backcountry chef who cooks for celebrities all over the world. And we have a Nat Geo and Travel Channel videographer and photographer to capture all the content. Now, there's no cell phones, there's no laptops. It's a digital detox. There's no service anyway, even if they did want to bring them. But we're hiking in, and we knew that we couldn't carry all that weight and all that food for that duration. So we have our cowboy buddy, Duncan, to pack in 5 horses and bring all the food, bring all of the goods and the gear. And then the rest will be hiking on our back with backpacking backpacks, and these, as you can imagine, there's a lot of logistics that go into this event. And we started with a solid plan. We knew we needed to get the plan together. Who do we want to incorporate? Who did we need to pull it off? Who should we be selective on taking? Who's this event for? And these are all questions you need to ask yourself before you plan your event. It's very important. What other questions do you think they should ask themselves while planning, Grant?
I think timeline is always important. People, sometimes they rush it or they put it so far in advance and then they're scrambling still at the last minute because they keep procrastinating and pushing it off. So it's like for me, that sweet spot's about like 3 months out, to really start dialing and getting everything locked in. People don't want to book 6 to 12 months out, and a lot of these events on getting individuals in, as well as, like on venues and things like this, we're using the wilderness, so it's different. Sometimes we have to book years out on some of these tours. We worked in major stadiums where I'm running at the Patriots Stadium one weekend, and the Yankees the next, and how you have to book these years in advance, so really dialing your timeline first, so to make sure, it's feasible, doing that feasibility analysis is really, crucial, so it's like anyone can sell a pipe dream. And that's kind of what we heard at the fire festival. They didn't have their timeline figured out, and you saw what chaos that, created, so it's like they tried to rush things and just put together, and they had their priorities all out of whack. So it's like getting that timeline and then understanding, what metrics and like what goals you have to hit along the way to really make this a success, or how to pivot and, push it if you have to, so it's like, you really gotta, be on top of your timeline, and locking things in ahead of time, ordering goods, things won't come in time, give yourself lead time on everything. So I think timeline is one of the most important things on your planning, is like, really to be thinking 10 steps ahead.
Yeah, I love that you brought up timeline, because that is the most crucial part of the plan, truly. For us with the Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure, we had this idea for multiple years, probably, but we didn't really start to put it together until, maybe 5 months out. We talked about it. Then 4 to 3 months out, we actually started putting pieces to the puzzle together. Then between 3 and 1 months out, we sold it. And now, it's coming up at the time of this recording, in about 30 days. And now is when all those little logistics, just finalizing details, finalizing, ordering different supplies, different food, different gear. And it's one of those things where you need to dial in your timeline right now. If you are planning an event, making sure that you have everything that you need to pull off this event successfully. So that's a great point. Any other things in regards to plan, Grant, that they need to know about?
Well, like I mentioned briefly earlier, I think for all you happy listeners out there, get your contingency plans in place.
Oh,
shit is always going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like,
well, not always, but
even if you over plan, there's going to be variables that you can't control.
Yes.
So it's kind of like I do in a business when you're looking at starting a new startup, doing a mortality assessment. What's every way this thing could fail? And then looking at how do we mitigate those risks, same thing, in business as you would do in this event. And, I think for all you happy hustlers, just like lining up your A, B, C, and even a D if you need it, it's like, what's your rain plan? What's your, injury plan? What's your,
talent canceled plan?
Terror threats, like Carrie and I have worked large events that could be subject to terrorism and things, so it's like, we think about these things, on like, what happens in these circumstances? How do you have the right authorities? How do you have the right things all in place ahead of time, walking through it, at least in your mind? And that goes back into that visioning. So the most important thing in planning is knocking out that vision in your mind and playing in every scenario through it.
Yeah. I think that contingency component is absolutely imperative. So if you're not necessarily clear on your backup plan, you need to be right away. You need to have it spelled out. You need to know if someone does, get injured, a fight breaks out, a fire, fill in the blank. Things happen, especially at events with large people, especially if alcohol is involved. You have to be prepared. Now, I think we learned a lot when it comes to even high school parties. When the cops came, where's the backup party? Where are we going? We're taking the keg out east. I got this spot in the bonfire ready to be lit. It's like, we always had a backup plan, and you need a backup plan in your business when you are planning events. So important step there. It all falls under the planning category. just to recap, it's very important, first and foremost, think about the end in mind. When you are planning your event, think about the feeling, A, that you want to basically transmute to your perfect avatar. Who, B, is the event for? C, what exactly, is the event about? D, how and where and when is it actually going to happen? Like those little logistics. Then the timeline, when are you actually going to pull everything off? And the contingency plan. Those are the essential steps to a plan. Grant, anything you want to add to the plan there?
I could go hours on planning because anyone who knows me in my life, I'm a planner.
Yes.
So it's one of the assets that, I've had my whole life from a little kid. And, for you guys starting your own event, it's just really thinking through all the little things. And that's just, again, like playing yourself, ask the customer, ask the event attendee, put yourself in their shoes, put yourself in the staff's shoes, and it's like Carrie and I've worked every role in every kind of event you can imagine, from busboys to catering in high school as well, to being the event managers, producers,
Talent.
And people hiring and, just having other people host our events. So, we know all different facets of it. So it's really that empathy for everybody involved in the event, and I think that's part of the planning, is really to empathize with every part of it. And you're really going to create the ultimate event when you can really feel for them, and that goes into the visioning part of, planning. So again, plan and just really go into that vision. I close my eyes and I think through it, and really like meditate on it and see through, all these little pieces that are the puzzle that can come together. And then, oh, I see this creative idea from this event, I want to incorporate that. Or, oh, I think we could take this one to the next level and we could downgrade this experience on budget, and another big thing on planning is getting your budget in line.
Yeah, I was going to go there. I'm glad you went there.
Yeah. So, I think that's another crucial part, is like, I've been at events where there's like multiple $1 million losses, they're just eating money, they couldn't sell the tickets out because they didn't have their timeline in order. It's like they didn't do their sponsorships right. They didn't know how to really engage other brands to get around this and make this a collaboration. The best events are collaborations where you're bringing people together from, different facets, and that's where you can share resources, and lower your overhead too, and finding ways to, sell it to them. So it's like dialing in your budget, and always budgeting a little extra, because you need that little money to make things happen last minute too. When the ice guy falls through last minute, you're paying 5 times more for ice to get delivered last minute on an hour notice, because you can't make drinks if people don't have ice and you're in the Florida heat or wherever you're at. There's always going to be that circumstance. So, having that cushion in your budget and thinking ahead of time, through all of that, is a crucial component to planning.
Yeah. And just to speak to it, like actually writing out all the numbers on an Excel spreadsheet. Grant is an Excel whiz, so I defer to him in regards to building any of these spreadsheets. But that's an important part, is knowing your costs, putting all of those costs aggregated in an Excel spreadsheet, then knowing any miscellaneous costs or any, idiot tax that may have come up, or any mishap tax, or someone falls through and you need to hire last minute, you'll pay a premium. These things you need to budget extra, as Grant mentioned, for mishaps. Then and only then can you price it accurately. When you know per head, how much is that dinner event going to cost? How much is that Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure going to cost? Then you can actually price it where you'll be profitable. And I think that's an important part of event planning. As Grant mentioned, people oftentimes either lose their ass on events or they just break even. And I know for one, we did this biohacking event for high level men's, you know, like pro athletes and Fortune 500 CEOs and just rock star entrepreneurs. And, you know, we did a 3-day event and we made over 6 figures on that
And
one
this was
event.
an intimate group, like 20 people,
Yeah.
you know, so like how to budget that. And it was fair value for everybody involved
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Every single person left saying it was the best event of their life and that we over delivered on what we promised.
Yep.
And, you know, and that they would do it 10 times out of 10 again and recommend, you know, bring 5 buddies next time, you know. So those are the kind of, you know, referrals you want and how you want to leave your guests, and, you know, planning how to really provide that value for them, and then finding how on the back end you can pinch some pennies and, you know, use some, you know, product sponsors and get some free gear, get some, you know, other people on media trades, or, you know, how you can, you know, leverage to lower your overhead and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
make it a more profitable experience, you know, and leaving the guests feel like you over delivered on, you know, their ticket value, you know,
Exactly.
because, you know, I've done concerts where, you know, people have literally asked me for their money back, events that I didn't plan. Let's be honest, I was on the other side of those, working more on staff. And, you know, where they just really didn't feel like people are charging $100 a ticket for an hour show that the artist was drunk and late. You know, it happens, you know. So it's like how to, you know, if you plan that properly, you could have manufactured other ways to provide value beyond just the music and that experience, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I don't want to say any of this, you have your hustlers, to scare you away from hosting events. And I think it's important to talk about the why to host an event,
Yeah.
you know, too, you know, and beyond just the money, because that's really not the value you get out of it. The connections and the experiences are so valuable to you, and the memories that you have, like,
Yeah.
you get paid, and you leave with more money to attend some of the most badass
Yeah.
things out there, and you can create them yourself. So it's like whatever dream event that you wanted to go to, you can just build, you know, bring together people, find sponsors, find ways to organize it. You get to live these experiences of a lifetime, like Carrie and I did in Brazil. It's like we could have never afforded to go to the World Cup at 21 years old and live the experience we did. We were rolling there, you know, living like celebrities. You know, yes, we worked
Rolling
hard.
meaning not on ecstasy or Molly,
Of
although
course.
that might have happened. I don't recall, but rolling in like balling. Basically, we had a
Yeah.
company credit card. We got tickets to, you know, multiple soccer games.
We had a penthouse on
We had
Copacabana
penthouse on
Beach.
Copacabana Beach. We had the life.
Yeah, we had front row tickets to the World Cup final, semifinal, you know, all these amazing experiences that we will never forget. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we left there with more money than we went there with, you
Yeah.
know, and that's like the beauty of events, and also the network, you know, that you get, you know, even if you're looking to dabble and you need some side income. COVID time has been rough, you know, events are starting to come back. You
Yeah.
know, there's ways that you can always create a side hustle in events too, you know, brand ambassador work where you can just show up day of, live a part of the event and get to experience it in different ways, and partner in events, you know, volunteer at events and conferences. I volunteered at conferences to get tickets while I was in college so I could go to more and learn from those experiences, and that's how we learned how to host our own.
Yep, exactly. So that's just an important caveat, you know, making sure A, that is profitable, and B, you know, that you're delivering quality experience. And, you know, Grant touched on it, but like why to host an event? There's tons of reasons: bringing people together, having a unique experience, and just really providing something that's memorable is absolutely a part of why to host an event. And just planning properly is the first step. So we wanted to break that down in detail. That's pretty much the most important part of this whole 4-step process to making your event a success. But we wanted to go in detail in, you know, in terms of planning, because it is that important. So the second step, Grant, prepare. What do they need to know about preparing for an event?
Well, again, a lot like we talked about, you know, kind of doubles down on planning, but preparing, like, you know, in the case of this Montana mastermind, we're preparing for those worst case scenarios. Like, how to have tourniquets and splints in case these things happen, all the little things from the menu that these guys are going to be eating. We want to make sure they have hearty protein before a hike, not too heavy, where they're throwing up on the trailhead, but we want to have food that's going to be able to keep in a river, so we eat the perishables the first day. So like these are all preparation things that we're doing, to the branding on the clothes that the guys are going to be wearing, any little thing that you need to prepare for, and you need to prepare yourself with energy too, and this is one important thing on hosting an event for all you happy hustlers out there. Learn how to recharge yourself in these times too, because I've done tours where I'm 7 days in a row, I'm 18 hours a day on my feet. I'm spending 4 days ahead of time recharging, hitting the gym, dialing in my nutrition, because I know I'm not going to be able to get the right stuff, because I need to be on point at all times, and I need to be able to answer my phone. So I'm not sleeping much that week, and I prepare a week in advance, for that, so, and it's even day of the event, how to, meditate, but also, jack yourself up. Like I'll wake up, be calm, center myself, I'll get a workout in, so then I can bring my best self to the table too. And I think that's one of the most important things that, a lot of people in the events, they're haggard. You see it in their eyes. They got circles under their eyes. They're barely hanging in there.
Oh yeah.
And I've been that guy. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I've been there. And now, as we've aged in this industry, I've learned to really prepare myself as an individual, weeks and sometimes months ahead of time. If I know I'm doing, I've done a tour where I was literally every week for 3 months, in a different city, in a different hotel room. I had one year, I think I had 250 nights I spent in a hotel room, out of 365. That's ridiculous. It's like, how do you prepare yourself for these kind of things and find your center in all these places? So really, one of the keys to preparing is really dialing in your own personal energy, because that's going to ripple into everybody in your event. So that's one of the key preparation things I think to touch on.
Yeah, prepare yourself for the abnormal amount of energy that needs to be exerted. And that's, when you are hosting an event, that's what it takes, that's what it requires. Now, I think the saying is like the event planning, industry eats up and spits out more individuals than almost any industry, because it is so taxing and people can get so burnt out. So it's very important that you prepare yourself properly, both health-wise with nutrition and dieting and exercising, but also mentally too, making sure that mentally you have a great mindset for your event, making sure also that the event itself is prepared, all those little logistics, making sure that all your vendors are going to be on time and that you have all your supplies in order and your food and your drinks, and the clients are well prepared and they're getting regular touch points prior, and there's an ability for them to ask questions, and that you have support prior and during and after. Preparation amongst all these different facets is what's going to make the difference of a successful event or a failure, of profitability or losing your ass. So you need to prepare. Grant, any other key topics on preparation?
There's a lot of topics I could get into here on preparation. It's an endless, list. There's little hacks like, putting all your subcontractors and your contractors and yourself in a group chat, so you're not just letting, okay, this guy's running all the food and beverage of the industry, of the thing. You don't just let him do that. You still are in the group chat with the ice guy. You still are in there. So, when stuff's going to go bad before they bring it to you, you're on top of it. And I think that's all little hacks for preparation. The preparation side for me, it's like Carrie mentioned, is really thinking through again on that planning side, all of the ways this experience is going to be there. Are your VIPs going to show up? People like to have that, those touch points ahead of time, preparing with them, getting all that organized, preparing for the breakdown. Do you have the right crew in place to break it down? Do you have the timeline, there to do it? Do you have some time for you to recharge before your next event too? All these little things in preparation, but I think one of the biggest hacks for preparation is, really again into the visioning. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, that's where it's like making sure you have that mental checklist. And I am an Excel guy, like Carrie said. I go through and I'm double checking my Excel sheet, and that's like for me visioning it. It's like making sure every single, I is dotted, T is crossed, that everything's going to show up on time or early, and I have those contingency plans in place.
Yeah. And one other thing that I know we just recently did for the Montana Mastermind is we had a to dominate list. And we basically just listed everything out that needed to be accomplished before event day. And so being crystal clear on exactly what needs to be done, then you can put proper prioritization and, essentially a timeline on each task, knowing this needs to get done, this needs to get done, this needs to get done. This one is more important than this one, so I do this one first. Those little things can make a big difference, making sure nothing slips through the cracks. And then you get to your event day and you're like, damn, we totally dropped the ball. We forgot, this. And so it's very much writing everything out, putting it on paper, putting it on Excel, preparing all those little details, your vendors, all the food, the drinks, the clients themselves, yourself mentally, your health and well-being as well. These things all fall into the preparation. So that is step number 2 in making your event successful.
One more hack on that before I let you go, heavy hustlers. Who you bring involved in your team is so vital.
Oh yeah.
So I think the best thing I've done in preparing is really learn, building trust with your team ahead of time, where I can, know I can delegate to somebody and they're going to get it done.
Yep.
And I don't have to, micromanage them. So I think in preparation, really building trust with your team. And sometimes that's day of trust. I've hosted an event at the Rose Bowl for Target where I have Ryan Tedder and Adele, in the Rose Bowl. I had 500 staff in the Rose Bowl locker room where I had to lead them. I met them an hour before, the event started. They made them show up an hour before. I had to hire 20 extra people just to, in case for all the no-shows that are going to be there. And that's my preparation, ahead of time, on that. But it's like how to, build trust with those people. I brought them all in a huddle and I made it like, we're going out there to, win the Super Bowl and the Rose Bowl, just as a staff, and I, put in team leads, and I flew in 10 team leads that I can trust, and have them, to be able to manage, and I knew those people can handle their, crew underneath them. And I don't need to be on top of every single person.
Yep.
So then I can really be interfacing with the clients and the people, and being able to keep it, calm and cool and, being able to not do that. So preparing with having a good, trustworthy team is crucial.
Yes. Such a great point. Making sure that you have A players on your team. And then you also have backup B players, making sure that you're prepared, just in case people don't show up. Obviously, depending on your event and your size and your scope, you're going to have to decide how many teammates you need to really pull this thing off. But at the end of the day, if you want to go far, go together. So bring people in to help you and really make your event a success. So that's the step 2. You got plan, then you got prepare. Now we're on step 3, which is execute, baby. It's event day. Woo! Go time. Grant, what do we got to do?
keep calm. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I've been to so many events where you see the event producer pulling their hair out and they're so stressed that that energy is going to ripple into everybody in your event.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the most important thing in execution is act like you have it figured out, even if you don't. And, you know, it's like, you know, you're just staying calm through it. You know, these things are going to hit the fan regardless. There's going to be some things that you couldn't envision. You know, you're going to do your best in your planning, in your preparation stage to go through those contingencies, but things are going to happen. Someone's going to slip and fall. This is going to happen. Or, you know, food's not going to is going to be undercooked and this is going to happen. You know, you just have to stay calm and, you know, and reassure everybody with your calming energy as the
Yeah.
leader. You know, so if this is you throwing a house party and, you know, someone gets hurt or someone gets sick, you know, or whatever happens, you know, someone, you know, breaks a bunch of stuff and this, you know, or someone's having personal drama and a bad phone call comes in, you have to be able to calm and bring the energy back and know that the show's going to go on, you know, like regardless, like you've already done this thing, show is going to go on. You need to find a way to make it go on, but keeping calm in that process is the biggest hack to execution.
Yeah, great point there. And, you know, in regards to just having fun, I mean, in regards to staying calm, also have fun.
Yeah.
You know, like have fun. This is your event. You worked so hard for this. Enjoy every moment as much as possible. Be present, be grateful. That ripples, and other people will be present and be grateful to be there. And a lot of people are understanding at events. They get it. You know, they know to pull off an event, it takes a great amount of effort, a monumental force and energy, a team. And, you know, they're understanding. So when things do go awry, be honest, be transparent, share with the clients to a certain degree. You know, hey, you know what, guys, our chef just cut his finger and the pizzas are going to be about 2 hours late. So we're going to need to get a new chef in here. He's got to go to the ER and get stitches. And, you know, this stuff happens. And it's just one of those things where if you just keep it real with people, a lot of people will be understanding. And then, you know, in terms of executing, have your plan very clear. Know who's supposed to be where. You know, oftentimes having some form of communication, walkie-talkies, or some type of, you know, cell phone service where you're making sure there's regular touch points, or team group thread. You know, making sure that a lot of times earpieces are beneficial when you're running a large scale event where multiple people can have earpieces and you could talk into them like you're in the CIA, which is always really cool.
Feel cool.
Yeah, you feel cool. Yeah, definitely feel cool.
No, anyway, you know, I think Carrie really touched on it there, and it's that being present. And I think for all you happy hustlers out there too, be flexible.
Yeah.
You know, be able to pivot on the go. And that's part of that being calm. You know, it's like Carrie said, if chef cuts his fingers, you got your contingency plan, you know, but maybe this unforeseen thing happened. You just got to be flexible, you know, and, you know, the client last minute switched their entire mindset and they want the music to come on at 8 when you had it planned for 11. The artist isn't there yet, but you're going to find a way to make it work, you know, and you're just going to be like, okay, you know, this is like how we're going to do this. You know, we'll cultivate this experience in this way, finding that compromise, but always keeping that energy around. And that's your presence. And that's what you doing your preparation work and recharging and really keeping that energy, you know, centered ahead of time, and you're getting your fitness, everything dialed in advance. You know, you're really going to be able to bring that energy to the event. And I've seen Carrie do this better than anybody. You know, we used to host events in Chicago, like we were saying, with all the Bulls and Cubs and those guys, and Carrie,
nightlife parties.
Yeah. And it's like, we already, you know, everything would have went fine, you know, just there. Carrie's out there, you know, putting on the lion costume, dancing around, bringing this energy that's euphoric that people want to be around. He's going around passing out note cards with, you know, for people to write 2 truths and a lie, because the energy was a little stale in there. And he wanted people to open up more, get vulnerable, and start meeting each other. So we had everyone write 2 truths and a lie and start handing them out to each other to open that energy up. And he led by example by going to do it, and this is what it takes when you're leading your event, is like, you got to be able to dive in the water too and be that leader, and show them, this is, it's okay to do this,
Yeah.
and it's like, we did this at our last event in Florida, where we have these guys, all around. We're leading those workouts. We're taking part of them. We're not just hiring someone to do it. We're hanging out with them and we're leading, and we're putting all of our best energy into it as
Yep.
well. So they know, like, okay, we're going hard in these things,
Yeah.
and we're not going to, take it light, and we're going to show them that we want to take part in this. This is how it's done,
Yeah.
so it's leading by example in that too.
Yeah. I think of the ecstatic dance circle when
Oh my goodness.
just like you just go unapologetically yourself, all in. I think I threw a gainer backflip and like almost busted my neck. But regardless, you show that you want it. You are there. You're present. You're having fun. The energy, it transforms the entire environment. So you have to bring that love, bring that light to your event. This is what you work so hard for. You make sure that you execute when it comes time to actually play. So that is the execution step. Step number 3 in, really building and monetizing and growing and having a successful event. Now, the 4th step, and this one, I think this one may be more overlooked than almost any other part of an event, and it's pitching. Grant, talk about pitching and having something else after the event experience, because I think this is such a key part to really event profitability. So talk to us about a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's like, you have these people all on a high. If you did your job right on the planning and on the preparing and on the executing, you got these people all charged up and in love with this experience. They're going to want more of it. And this is where you're pitching, not only pitching your client, you're pitching your sponsors, your vendors, and all of the clientele that's there, all of your attendees. You're trying to find a new experience to bring them into, so it's like, this is where, if you're planning your next event, the next year we're going to be back, we're going to be doing the same thing, starting to get your guys organized, lock in your early bird discount now, while they're on a high, while they want to, already in it and already feeling that energy of it before they go home and overthink it, and the, spouse gets in their ear, or, the kids have a soccer game planned. Lock it in advance, get them, all make this a priority in their mind, and really, getting them engaged for the long term, that relationship with you. So if it's, not just the next event, there's so many different angles you can take on your pitch, but you have these people really having fun and trusting you because you've already over delivered, and it's like, how can you leverage that, feeling into, creating more of that for them, and more of that, abundance for yourself too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point. And, I could just think about pitching at at the biohacking event. What that looked like for us was a continued coaching program with an additional event ticket. Obviously, if they like what they just got, they're going to want more. So you have to think about what you can add that is aligned with your brand, that makes sense to pitch. If it's a concert and you're putting on a great musical performance, well, obviously they're musical fans, so you can offer another opportunity to absorb music. If it's a dinner party and they obviously are foodies, well, offer another opportunity to eat. Like, you got to be in line with your pitch. It can't be obviously completely irrelevant to your event.
Here,
right?
buy this tchotchke product.
Yeah.
It's like, you're really playing on that same theme, and, really you're trying to serve them.
Yeah.
It's all about service. The event industry is service over self. So it's like, how can you serve them to really enjoy, more of these kind of experiences? So it's like, when we were doing tours, like, you can catch us on our next stop, or we'll be back next year, lock in your spot now, sign up today, if you refer 10 friends, we'll give you this discount, and they were already like, okay, hell yeah, let me send this picture now to all my friends, and I'll lock all of them in and I'll get a free ticket myself, and then we just got 10 new clients, out of one raving fan, so that's, what we were talking about on the pitch. And this can also be with your sponsors too, so it's like really well done events. You lock in some kind of sponsorship as well, and try to find ways to bring that together. And it's like, you think we hit it good on this one, wait until you see what we got next time. It's like we got this whole thing, and you sell them on that vision,
Yep.
and that's where, you're walking them through that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the fourth step, which is often overlooked, but absolutely pivotal to profitability, is pitching, having something that is in line with your event that can also add additional ROI to your investment. So just to recap, we have the four steps, the four essential steps to making your event a success. One, plan. Two, prepare. Three, execute. And four, pitch. Now, Grant, any final closing remarks in regards to, hosting a live event?
Have fun, like Carrie mentioned earlier. It's like, this is a labor of love. It's like you can really live your dream reality and create it. So it's like, have fun with it, be creative. It's like you can put together any odd mix of things that what you think would work, and try it, have fun with it, and that's just the best thing that I've had in events, that I want you happy hustlers to leave with, is just like, you can have the time of your life. Like, these experiences, like $1 million experiences you're getting to live, and you're leaving with money. It's like, you're not spending that kind of things, like trips of a lifetime. Carrie and I have got to go, mountain biking in British Columbia and go spend camping out for a week to be paid there to run this amazing yoga festival, Wanderlust, where we're having so much fun, with it. And it's like, when you get to do all these things, like, it's like, yes, you're going to work your ass off, there's no doubt about it, but like, have fun in that process too, and really create your dream reality of it. And that's what Happy Hustling is all about. So you guys, go create your happy hustle and your happy hustle event in your own way. So it's like, you can make this a small intimate gathering with your friends to start, and getting used to preparing and planning, and throwing in some creative surprises. I think surprises, sorry, we didn't touch on that yet.
Yeah.
But another happy hustle hack for events is surprises. Don't tell them everything in advance.
Yep.
And, it's like, leave a couple things untold to the attendees. Your clients, you can keep in the loop, but even them, try to wow them. And that's the surprise factor. We always try to build in a couple things that they don't know, it wasn't part of the original pitch, but we know they're going to love it, and it's going to take that event from here to here and really over deliver.
Yep. I love that. I love that you threw in the surprises piece. And really, I'm going to throw in one bonus as well. Selling your event is honestly a value transfer of your passion. And let me unpack that. Your passion is what will sell the event. If you are super excited about your event and you can deliver amazing results, whatever that may be, you will sell it. Now, you do have to, still plan, prepare, execute, and you'll have your pitch ready. But selling your event to make sure people actually want to come will mostly be determined by your passion for it and how well you can actually deliver the result. So just a little key takeaway there. I really hope you guys listen to this and you actually start planning your first or second or third or best live event ever, because it is an amazing part of a business to be able to host a live event, to have that once in a lifetime experience, and to facilitate those connections, those breakthroughs, sometimes those tears, those laughs, those delicious foods and drinks, and those memories that really do go with you to the grave. And it's just such an honor. I feel honored for this Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure coming up. I'm so excited. I'm stoked. I know Grant is too. We put in so much into it. And if you guys missed it on this one, I know we sold out very quick, and I did it more of an invite only, but for the next one, if you guys are serious about it, you can go to carryjack.com/Montana and you can apply for the next one, because we're going to do it again. But guys, I highly recommend following these 4 steps of planning, preparing, executing, and pitching on your next live event, and go out there and just happy hustle your dream reality. Grant, any final words?
Have fun with it, like I mentioned before, but this is where I think you can, don't let this intimidate you thinking it has to be this elaborate experience here too. If you're a brick and mortar business, happy hustler out there, host a little cocktail gathering with some hors d'oeuvres, bring in a live guitarist. It doesn't have to be something as elaborate as some of the things we've talked about too. It could be an hour or 2 gathering, but that experience is going to keep your customers coming back.
Yep.
So events are for anyone and everyone. Everyone wants to feel exclusively invited to these things, and making it, if you're a clothing shop, a pop-up shop where you're having it, any of these little events, it's for you. You can create at your house, your business, with your friends. Just have some fun putting together an event. Don't be intimidated, have fun, and you will really, never regret it. These are once in a lifetime experiences.
You will, guys. I mean, there you have it. Now you know what you need to do in order to create a massively successful live event. And especially now with COVID, coming out of this crazy pandemic, people are thirsty for live events in person. So go out there, make some money, make some impact, and have fun doing it. We love you. We appreciate you. Now we're out. Peace, y'all.